All right, welcome to another Friday night episode of Keto Rocks Radio. I'm Jim Hobbs, and down on the screen on the bottom, I believe, is my carnivore co-host, Brian Damaged Forsythe of the band Kix and Rhino Bucket, and he is modeling his Rolling Stones t-shirt today for us. So there he is. And then back to give her monthly update, and so we can learn from this journey, our very own Miss Carrie Husband. Welcome back.
Shalom. It's nice to be back.
Well, it's nice to have you back. And how are things progressing, and what nuggets do you have for everyone today?
Well, since my husband said that truth and transparency is my strength, we are going to be talking about some really truthful things today. Okay. And I'm smiling and I'm happy, but I will say that my last month was not as successful as I wanted it to be. As a matter of fact, like last night, I'm laying in bed and I'm having insomnia. All of these X flares and stuff that are coming in with these energies are just kicking my hind end. I mean, I'm either sleeping 10 hours a night or I'm not sleeping at all. It's like, can we find a middle ground, please? Can we find a middle ground? So last night, I'm laying in bed and I can't sleep. And I'm sitting here thinking about the dialogue I'm going to have with you guys today. And it's just going around and around and around in my mind. And I'm like, and then part of me is like, well, do I really want to come in on share? Do I really want to talk about this? And my husband reminded me that my truth and my transparency and my realness is my strength. So I didn't have a great month last month. Now, that's not to say that I didn't lose any weight. Okay. I lost 3 pounds. Okay. So that's good. I'm at 17 pounds down, but by all means, I've been beating myself up because I felt like I should be further than that. This is hard. Okay. So here's the emotional side. Sorry, guys. You got me. I didn't bring my tissue box, but this is my raw and vulnerable side here. This journey in trying to get my health back it's very difficult. It's very difficult. And there's some days that feel easy and other days that don't. So my last month was hard. I had a friend that tried committing suicide. Ooh. And I spent like a 4-hour period of time trying to assist her. That was 10 days ago. And she didn't succeed. But because of that, it really threw me into a tailspin. And with the energies, I had to give myself permission again to be okay with my body and to listen to my body and not, I know why I didn't lose what I wanted to. Because I didn't push so hard. And so I literally had to listen to my body. And when my body said, stop, I had to stop. Now the diet hasn't changed. I've been doing carnivore since our last time, and that's been very good. My inflammation is so down in my body. It's crazy. I'm elated with that. And I don't have the bloating. I don't have the gas issues. It's like, wow, my body just feels like it's supposed to have been running this way my entire life. So that's positive. But I guess the nugget I want to share today is that surrendering to the process is an ongoing thing. And listening to the body is an ongoing thing, as well as giving ourselves grace. For some people, like you had, I know that Brian hasn't had to deal with a lot of this, but Jim, you've gone through the 100-pound loss, and you know what that journey is like. And I've had, I'm trekking down through 50 pounds that I want to lose. And the level of grace that we need to give ourselves, the only reason why I see that I want to meet a goal is, again, dealing with my ego. Because really, when I started talking with you guys in the beginning, I've had to remind myself of my reason, my why. And my why cannot be something of vanity. And it also can't be a competition. And it can't be, oh, I'm going to be on Keto Rocks Radio, so I better have something, fantastic because I'm being held accountable. Accountability is good, but when it starts getting to the point where you don't sleep at night, there's something wrong with that. because really, I just want to share my heart with this journey, because if it helps anyone, if they're feeling in the moment and they're struggling and they can see that this isn't all puppy dogs, rainbows and everything. I mean, this is a real struggle,
Well,
and it's really challenging.
it is, but let's talk about something, because you hit on something. When you start to have expectations, who set those expectations?
Right.
And then
Right.
so but most people, I think this is a great learning tool. And I think this is a lot of the reasons why people go back to their old ways, because they do set expectations, and then we feel like a failure. And I'm not saying you are, I'm just saying
No,
the
I hear you.
ego. Yeah, we feel like a failure because we didn't meet that expectations that we set for ourselves, and we kind of sabotage the whole reason why we started to go down this road in the first place.
Yep.
And it causes a lot of people who, that's why, New Year's resolutions, everybody makes, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to work out. And then by March, the gym's pretty wide open. You can go there and use any piece of equipment, as opposed to January 5th when you can't find a piece of equipment to use. But people, when you hear the word self-sabotage, just realize it's a very simple trick that your ego gets you to go back to be really unaccountable. And so it's a fine line between holding yourself accountable and then wanting to be unaccountable. And so I relate it to this. Be in the now. In the now, you do not have any expectations. You're able to breathe in now and just go with the flow, as Wim Hof says. Go with the flow, and let that flow take you to where your body is wanting to go. Just because our egoic mind sets an expectation or a goal, and there's nothing wrong with goals. There's nothing wrong with goals as long as they're put in perspective that right. All it is. It's not meant to sabotage your journey or to veto your journey or to veto the process. The process is going to play out wherever it is. But very few people are willing, like Carrie is, to truly say, look, this hasn't been comfortable for me. I've had some setbacks in my sleep, how I'm looking at things. And she's being totally transparent to the point where hopefully you guys are learning from her journey. And that's the whole reason why I'm excited to have Carrie. We're excited to have Carrie on here to share this vulnerability, not so she's having to relive the hurt, but if we understand that when we go through this process, if we're not sharing the process so other people don't feel alone that are go through the process and go, I never could do that. I'm just going to do what I keep doing or fall back into. I know Brian's a big trust the process, as opposed to trust what you're telling yourself to go do or whatever goals you set for yourself. So really I want to commend you, Carrie, for being open, and your heart's so beautiful that you're willing to share that. So the beauty that's contained in your heart trumps whatever your mind is trying to get you to believe. So just go with your heart. Your heart shines the beauty that you are.
Thank you.
Well, to add to that too, I mean, just from here, listening from the outside, from listening to you share, to me, it seems like the positives outweigh the negatives in this situation. And I think you're not seeing the positives for what they are,
I have to remind myself of that. You guys are getting me in a really raw, transparent moment this morning because of my lack of sleep last night. So I do appreciate that, Brian, big time. And you're right. And this is part of the shadow work that comes up. Because if anybody says that shadow work doesn't come hand in hand with this, they're not being truthful, because it really does. And so this is part of the shadow work of having to wrestle some of these things. And the ego, man, it's a gift and a curse. It's a blessing and a curse all at the same time. And so when we can turn the grief into gratitude, that's what will change that perspective to continue us moving forward, so we don't sabotage. I mean, we don't need any outside help. I mean, we are our worst critic, and you're right, we do self-sabotage left and right. The positive that I can see in this is the diet has stayed consistent, right? The diet is consistent, so I didn't fall off the wagon. I didn't go to what I would have done in the past. I didn't do that. So that remaining consistent, and I still did lose weight over the last month. So it's not like I didn't. I wasn't as
Can I just
aggressive.
share something? Something just popped in. I got to
Yeah,
share this with
please.
you. I think it's beautiful that you didn't turn to food, but you
Mm-mm.
turned to truth.
Yep. Thank you.
And I think that is, like Brian said, that's a huge positive that outweighs anything. That shows that your integrity is shining through. You turn to truth and not food. When many times in this time about my life, I turned to the lie and tried to mask my pain and my letdown and my emotions. I fed my emotions with food and the lie instead of holding to the truth that I know what's good for me.
That's
So
so good. That's so good. And that brings me to a point with my girlfriend with the attempted suicide. Um, I allowed myself to feel my way through that encounter. And whereas before, using food or using something else to help offset that, whether I would use, if I would choose to use cannabis or hemp or something, just something to help change the perspective. Allowing myself to feel my way through it is one of the tools, and maybe this will help somebody. Instead of using the food as the tool to mask the symptoms and the pain, I allowed myself to feel through the pain, feel through that suffering so that I didn't need that external tool. I didn't
and
need it.
right, and you just said something, and we've been on this topic for the last couple of weeks, but in having this open and truthful discussion, this dialogue, that's really what big pharma does. They feed into that lie that your mind is telling yourself, and so you don't get a chance to experience the reason why you're going through that pain or that process or that inflammation or that guilt. It doesn't give you a chance. It masks it so they can tell you, as we said last week, listen, we're going to be able to manage this for you, Carrie. So as long as you keep taking this, we can manage this for you. But you weren't created to be managed. You were created to thrive and to shine. And so when you don't go through what you're explaining and you don't go through those, if you're not able to go through the experience raw and to see the truth in every moment, because you got it masked, whether it's a pill or alcohol, drugs, or food, then you're probably going to go through that again until you realize you have to experience it in order to learn from it. And that's where we gain our biggest growth or have our biggest growth spurts, is when we go through that and we understand why we went through that.
Well, and by doing that, when you feel through things, you are not stuffing the emotions where it's getting locked in the DNA and the energy centers of your body, so that you minimize triggers. Because here's the problem of where most of us got to. We would get triggered on something from something that wasn't healed, that we chose to stuff and not deal with. We would get triggered by that, and then we would go to whatever said to calming agent that we'd use. So drugs, alcohol, food, sex, pornography, it doesn't matter. Whatever escapism we would choose to use, we would go to that because we got triggered by something that was not resolved from our past. So for me, this was a big victory in seeing that now, of like, no, I felt my way through it, and it was freaking uncomfortable. It was awful. The 24 hours in that aftermath, it was, oh my gosh. But yet the trauma of it didn't affect me like it would, because I allowed myself to go through that flow, just allow it to flow through me, and it didn't sabotage me.
And
Wow.
yeah, that's huge. That's huge. But something just hit me as we're talking about this. There's a flip side, that people go through childhood drama and who do not eat, who starve themselves for fear of going back. So they live with that emotional issue, so that, there's a flip side. We're talking about a healthy lifestyle, and we're talking about watch what you eat, but there's certain people who are afraid to eat for the fear of gaining weight. So they're anorexic and they're dealing with that, and they hide that so well because the world looks at the outside of your vessel and go, oh, she's beautiful, or man, he's really in great shape because he's not obese. But you have no idea what's going on in their mind and what they're foregoing, and the shame that's on them because they can't even, Peggy and I was watching something recently. The person had never even enjoyed, the mom had never even enjoyed a cup of ice cream with their children because of fear of ballooning up. And her children always try. Now, I'm not saying go out there and eat ice cream, by no means, but what I'm saying is we all have something that we're struggling with, and it can be from both sides of the coin. And so the truth is the truth, and that's what we got to get to. And I think that's why what you're sharing, I think a lot of people would understand that the truth in their life that's playing out, let it play out. Yeah, it may make you cry, it may hurt.
Just let it be. Let it be.
Exactly. So
we get a lot of wisdom from those things, because once we've allowed ourselves to come through the other side, instead of stuffing it, blocking that, not allow it, it's like there's a place where we can connect to within that then begins to translate that information to us to say, this is why. Or you get some sort of a nugget. There's always, this is the beautiful exchange that we get in living our experience here, as far as I see it. Whenever we go through something like that, there's a revelation that comes afterwards that had we not experienced that, we would have never had. So when we circumvent that from happening, we are actually stalling our growth. And so, in a lot of ways, I can sit here and go, if I would have known this when I was in my 20s, you know what? It wasn't meant for me to know these things when I was in my 20s. It's now I'm moving into my Jubilee year because I just had my birthday. And so when I look at that, I'm going, thank God I at least have this now. It took all of the trial and error to get me to this point, to be able to see the way that I'm seeing, feel the way I'm feeling, to be able to share with you guys that which I'm experiencing because of the experiences I've had up to this point. And it all happens perfectly when it needs to. It's like, just let it unfold, let it be, stop fighting the process and just allow it to happen. The beautiful thing is that if people would just stop to realize what they have around them, how much encouragement they have from people, especially if they reach out, especially, we set down the ego's pride and we reach out to somebody to say, you know what, I need some help right now. I mean, thank God my friend reached out to me. Thank God she reached out to me. She may not be here if she hadn't reached out to me. And so in that, there's a blessing too, to see the power of encouragement. And that's what I feel like your platform here is. You're bringing a lot of information, trying to encourage people through this journey and the importance of sticking to it, but also to have a place where you can check in every week. Because it's not just about accountability. There are so many factors that come into this. There's so many different factors that come into this, and not one of them needs to be overlooked. They need to be talked about. They need to be brought in, because if we're wanting to be healthy, we have to address all these areas. And if you're in a place also that you don't have encouragement, find a place that you can get out. If people are around you are not encouraging you, and you've got negative speech around you all the time, get out. Because you know what? I will tell you this. If that is in your life, you are not going to be healthy.
No.
You will not be able to do this, because stress is one of the worst factors when it comes in for weight gain and obesity, and sabotaging the ability for the body to lose weight. Because what it'll do, it'll put you in fight or flight. You live there, you never get into the rest and digest. So no matter what you do with your food, you are not going to be getting into the healthy side, because you're in survival mode.
Right. Do not swim in polluted water. So if you're in a polluted pool, get out. And it doesn't mean you're abandoning Don't look at it that you're abandoning the people that you were swimming with. No, no, no. Look, they may be feeling like this is all we have in life, but let them follow you. Let them see the change that happens when you break free from that polluted pool and you start walking in life-giving waters. You know, people go, wait a minute, Carrie's no longer, where's Carrie? Oh my God, look at Carrie. Look, man. So that's why living out truth, and everybody's got their own truth to live out because we've all lived our life differently. And so it's meant for us, it's meant for our good. You know, that's why this show is not about telling, it's about helping you to experience it. And we're encouraging you in your journey. You know, everything's meant to teach us. Even eating sugar is going to teach you something if you'll allow it. Even if it meant, you know, look, it's, you know, causes my teeth to decay, causes me to have to get fillings, it causes me to be hyperactive. I mean, you'll learn from even taking the stuff that's meant you for harm, but everything's meant for your good if you just take the time to find what that good is.
Mm-hmm.
Totally agree with that. Totally agree with that.
So bless you for being that ear and showing that compassion to your friend. And my guess is, and I don't know your friend, maybe I do, I don't know, but the reality of it is she felt comfortable enough and knew that you were not going to judge her for trying to commit such a horrific act, that she was willing to call you up or however it happened, and you were able to sit there and be able to speak truth over her. Well,
yes, exactly. There are two kinds of, I'm going to throw some Hebrew in here because it's generally what I do. It's just, that's who I am. There's a word for love and loving kindness, and it's called rakam. It's compassion. And many times you'll see it translated as love. You'll sometimes see it as loving kindness, but it really is an embodiment of compassion. And there's huba and rakam. And huba is the love that exists everywhere, that we get to the place where we connect to in our heart. It's where source creator dwells. It's the essence of love that permeates this whole creation. It's in that oneness field. Okay. And so that is something that has to be discovered. It actually has to be built on the inside, and then you move into it. So it's a place of maturation. It's a place of ascension. It's a place of expanded consciousness. It's hard to kind of put it into words because it's, you know, our sense of love in English is so diminished. We use love for everything, and it's just one word. It doesn't really mean anything. Somebody's got to define it. I love my husband. I love my kids. I love my dog. I love pizza, you know, whatever. But in this sense, when you use the word rakam, compassion, it's spelled resh het mem. And on the outside is resh mem, and that means to exalt and to lift up. The het on the inside is life. So, and because it's on the inside of the word, it's connected directly to your heart. So when we have compassion for one another, and especially even in what we're talking about in losing weight with keto, when we can be compassionate with somebody who is struggling, that has 100 pounds to lose, and they have the things that they're going through, and they have the shadows they need to transmute, or with my friend, if we can give rakam to them, we are lifting them up and bringing life to their heart. That is so huge for us to see that gift that we give one another, because it is that raising up and lifting them up, lifting up their head, because it starts with the resh. The resh is like the poor and the destitute, but it also means a first fruit and a leader. So it is encompassing the lowest all the way to the highest. So when we are giving compassion, we are coming from a higher place to raise their head up because they are poor and destitute. The het can mean separation, and it can be life. So when I'm giving somebody some compassion, if they've separated themselves from the truth of who they are, I'm bringing them life. And then it ends in a mem sophit, because there's two forms of mem. I'm not going to go into detail on that, but when you see it on the end of the word, it is the waters of peace. So we're lifting people up to bring them into life and into the waters of peace so that they can raise and lift their head. You had said something earlier about, you know, moving on, or, hey, where's Carrie? Where'd she go? Did I talk to you guys about the crab in the bucket? Did I ever use that analogy with you guys? The crabs in the bucket?
I don't think so.
Okay, because I felt it when you were talking, and this really is about the level of rakam of what we can do for other people. I grew up on the Oregon coast for part of my formidable years, and we used to go crabbing all the time. And it was interesting because sometimes we go out in the boat, sometimes we do it from the dock. But either case, we would keep crabs in the bucket with water in it until we were ready to deal with them, and so that we could eat them. And when we would put them in the buckets, inevitably, always you'd have several that would try to climb out of the buckets. And this is the funniest thing. And I was just like, okay, this makes a lot of sense when you see it. Whatever a crab would try to get out, and it would be climbing like out of the bucket, guess what the other crabs would do? Yep. They would always pull that one crab that was trying to escape and would pull it back down into the bucket. Always, always. So in the process of what we are doing in changing our environment, if you find yourself in a bucket with a lot of crabs, don't let them pull you down. This is why having people that are encouraging you, finding the people that can lift you up and give compassion, racham. It's not like we're trying to enable people to keep in their bad behaviors, but when you've escaped the bucket, you can assist from the outside while someone is trying to climb out, as long as you are firm in your standing. If you are not firm in your standing, they will pull you in the bucket with them.
So it's very important for you to know who you are and to walk that path or travel of truth. So the lies or the deceit of those around you or the environment outside of you does not taint the purity that's inside of you. And so
absolutely.
And this is something that I've learned more in my latter years, probably in the last 5 years, that I use all things. It's like Carrie's talking about. When I start to find myself aggravated or upset or angry or something that I'm mad at, I literally then take time to find out what is triggering that for me. Like, what is it that's causing me to react that way? Because that's not who I am. And I try to find out what the culprit is, and remove that from my body, so I don't revisit going back there. So even that is a beautiful moment for me, as much as it's painful, but it allows me to remember who I really am, and to walk out what I'm supposed to walk out, which is love. So
exactly. So whether you're in Huba or Racham, that's really the essence of who we are. And we can't help anybody until we get to that place of resolve. It's misery loves company, man. Misery loves company. So, trying to reach out and help someone, if you haven't been able to deal with that yourself, you're going to get pulled back in. You're going to get pulled into the bucket. And food is a really great place for people to gather around. Oh, you deserve the chocolate cake, man. When was the last time you had a slice of chocolate cake? Look how hard you were. One piece of chocolate cake isn't going to hurt you.
Yeah, the crabs come out at night.
Yeah, maybe that cascading events is going to throw somebody off and get them into those old patterns. And so, watch and be mindful of the crabs in the bucket. And if people can't encourage you in your journey and they're wanting to sabotage you, find some new friends. There's almost 8 billion people in the world. Find some new friends.
Yeah. I think and Brian can speak on this more than I can, but I think that's what different groups like AA and NA and all those groups, those people come back from the outside every day to help those people get out of that bushel basket so they can see the light, and they haven't forgotten that they were once at the bottom of that barrel too, and so it causes them to remind themselves that's where they were and never want to return. But they also want to encourage the ones who are there. Look, that's not your place to stay. We're gonna encourage you to go ahead and get out of this bushel basket. And
absolutely. there was a prophetic word that was given to my husband and I years ago when we first came to this little community, our little town that we live in. And we revisited it lately, and it feels very appropriate to share it here. And it was just a phrase: for those whose defining moment has not yet been defined, keep walking, keep walking. You know, and I love that. Trust. What would you say? Trust the plan, or trust the, what did you say?
Process.
Yeah, trust the process. So in trusting the process, allowing yourself to keep walking in it, to not stop regardless of that. You know, I have some other challenges that I'm dealing with in this as well, because I'm going through menopause right now. I'm young. I'm young. I'm younger than most women that would go through it, in my late 40s, going into the 50th Jubilee year. But that is also affecting my ability to lose weight as well. And so there's been some huge challenges on that with hormonal fluxes and swings that I'm having to tweak things as I go. And so it'll be interesting to see what the next month update will be, because there's some things that I'm going to start implementing because of that. And the other side of that with the hormonal influx is that, have you guys talked about set points, body set points before, and what happens with some insulin resistance? Okay.
Aware of.
Okay, so this might be something, and this is another reason why I know that there's the slower process that's happening in my body. So I've got lots of stuff that's going on, lots of stuff, and I'm like, okay, trust
Well,
process.
share.
Okay, so a set weight point, some people may not realize this, but it's like a thermostat in your body. If your body is used to running at a certain temperature, I'm going to use temperature to explain this, translate that to weight. Your body has been accustomed to living at a certain weight for a very long time. And due to insulin and all of these other hormones, your leptin, your ghrelin, your insulin, all the other ones that I can't remember the name of, your body will get to a place where it's like a thermostat. And when you get to that set point, because of insulin resistance, people will find themselves at a plateau. Like, I'm excited that I did drop down to 17 pounds, because the last time I was trying hard with keto, and this is why I knew that I needed to stay on keto for a long time to heal my insulin resistance, I lost 15 pounds and no more. I was stuck. There was nothing that I could do to budge that 15 pounds. I was there, and it was really frustrating. So I had to do some research to go, okay, I'm doing what I need to be doing. Why am I hitting this wall? Why am I hitting this wall? Why am I hitting this wall? And it's because of healing insulin resistance. So if people come on, or that you are talking to people and they talk about hitting a plateau, sometimes it can take up to 2 years to 3 years to heal insulin resistance. So someone may hit a set point of what their body, that thermostat is at, and it's going to take years to be able to dial it down because of insulin resistance. And this is where the encouragement, this is where the stick-to-itiveness is about trusting the process, is people need to be encouraged in this, because it is really, really easy to have it become, put you in the negative spin. So the reason why I'm saying that is because I had gotten to that point where I started slowing down and hitting that 15-pound mark again. Now, granted, I'm 20 pounds heavier than I was from that original, but my set rate, I had moved the thermostat up. I had moved it. It was used to sitting right here. So then having to dial it and go, okay, man, I'm at that freaking 15 pounds again. Here we go. And then having to just go, just trust it. Just keep doing what I'm doing. Keep walking, keep allowing it to be. Don't sabotage myself. Realize that I'm doing this because I know my why. I know my why. I don't need anybody to convince me of my why. I had to have that before I started. So if that helps anybody to realize, sometimes it's going to take 2 to 3 years to get you back online. We didn't get to where we are overnight.
Exactly.
Well, that's the thing too with keto. When somebody starts on keto, they initially drop some weight because of the fluids and all that stuff.
Right.
And they think it's going to keep going like that, but it doesn't. It's an ongoing process, and it takes patience.
Yes. Yes. So another Hebrew word that I was thinking that I want to share with you guys is the word megan. And megan is a word, you'd see it translated as surrender or a shield or to protect, megan. And it's mem gan. Gan is the word for garden. Mem is a word for chaos. So when we go through the water, so we were talking about the flow and going with the flow. When we go through the waters of chaos, instead of stopping, we will get into the garden where we gather and assemble ourselves here, dealing with our fallen flesh nature, but yet it's a beautiful place to get to. It's the garden, Gan Eden. So by not stopping that flow of the waters, we will find ourselves in the garden of where we need to go. And so that is a word that is translated as surrender. So surrender to that process, allow the waters to flow, because we're going to have chaotic times. We're going to have peaceful times. Just keep allowing it to go. Surrender to the process. Trust the process is another way to say that. Surrender to it. But that has to be something that is determined at the individual level to see if they're going to continue walking. And that's interesting because the gimel, the word gimel, okay, so I think I've shared this with you guys before. Every Hebrew and Aramaic word or letter is spelled out. Like A in our English language doesn't have a spelling to it. It's just A, where the aleph is aleph lamed pei. So it's symbols that create the symbols. It's a very unique language and it does that. So the symbol gimel is spelled gimel mem lamed, and it means a foot and it means to walk. So when we go megan, going through the chaotic waters, we have to walk through it. And the way the walk is through here. It's your heart posture. It's all about your heart posture. It's not about the mind, because again, the ego will sabotage you. It's checking in right here. And so when we surrender to the heart walk instead of the head, then you will be able to get into the garden and you will allow the waters to flow through you, whether it's emotions, whether it's trusting the process with keto, whether it's in relationships, just allowing it to flow through you, you will find your garden again and you will get to where you want to. You just have to keep walking. Just have to keep walking. And I'm okay with that. I can do this. I am doing this. What are you talking about? I am doing this. I'm going on 3 months now. So 17 pounds in 3 months, that's not too bad.
That's great.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
That's great. Now, how is pat yourself on the back. It's all about celebrating each moment. So yeah, give yourself a big old hug. Now, has Ken noticed any changes from you during this 3 months of you living out this? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We talk a lot about it. I'm really grateful for my husband because he's had such long suffering. I mean, even knowing I've shared some of my healing journey with people, but I mean, he's really gone through long suffering with me, and he still stands by my side. And sometimes I'm like, dude, why? I don't know if I could have put up with myself. I was having difficulty just putting up with me in my own body, let alone having to live with me. But we've been very honest in this journey. When we first started, because we had our fitness program that we did together, it's been unique to see the years that we've been together, the 12 years that we've been walking life together as a married couple, and the 7 years prior where we were really good friends, just to walk this thing out and what it's looked like. And so we do have honest conversations, and we talk about our food and our choices and what we're doing, and we talk about our body, and we've had incredible conversations, to just the honesty and the transparency of even with this menopause thing. That's a whole nother element. That is just a whole, man, my mother didn't really set me up for this at all. So I'm fumbling my way through it, and thank God there's lots of resources, but again, more long suffering, but my husband's having to deal with the hormonal fluctuations and what that's done, because it has caused issues within the body. It's been an amazing journey, but yeah, he has changed, and because there's the truth and transparency between the two of us, that makes a huge difference. I mean, we can be each other's greatest enemy, and we can also be each other's best friend. And some days it seems like it's this, and some days it's like this, but when you have a relationship that is that close and you're going through the thick and thin, to have the transparency to communicate, knowing that you're in it for the long haul, and not because religion says that you have to,
Yes, I
but
know.
because you value the relationship, because there's value there. I mean, it's like going through the trenches with a comrade and going, man, I have gone through the great, the ugly, the dirty, the painful. Why would I want to go and do that somewhere else? Why do I want to start over? I mean, look at all the beautiful nuggets. Look at all the wisdom that we're getting through all of this. And through all things. I mean, my husband and I have the sacred languages that we walk out together. And now we have this physical aspect of getting our bodies back together. I mean, Ken's down, I think he's down, what did he drop? 20? I'm at 17 and he's at 20. So between the two of us in our time, we've lost 37 pounds.
That's awesome.
As we're
Good,
walking
good.
together. You know, he only has to lose maybe 10 more, maybe 5. He's not, you know, he's really close to being there. But he's walking it out with me. And so, yeah, we're being really truthful and honest about this whole thing. And there's days when I go and weigh myself on the scale and I come out of the bathroom and I'm not a happy camper. Because of the hormonal influxes and all that. And then he just has to remind me. He just reminds me, you are not that scale, Carrie. You are not any of that.
Nope.
And then just the encouragement that I get from him is like, you know, I'm proud of you that you determined, you decided to change and do this and bring it back into our lives. You know, because Ken wasn't pushing it. I was the one that chose to push it. And then I asked him for help and I said, would you do this with me? Would you be willing to do this with me?
Yeah, the real you can't be seen. So if you're seeing it, you know it's a mirage because it can only be experienced.
That's right.
It's like the wind. You know,
That's right.
you don't see it, you just experience it. And so if your egoic mind is trying to get you to focus on something outside of you, whether it's a scale number or anything else for that matter, just know that is a huge acknowledgement or a huge red flag telling you that you can't trust that. And I'm saying that you can only trust what is you, and only you know who you are. And that's the reason why we shouldn't be judging anyone outside of us, because we never know what Carrie or Brian or Jim is going through when you run into that person at the store or at a restaurant or at the job, because you can't really see what's going on or what they're processing. So that's why we all should not be judging anyone. We should be seeking first to understand and to encourage and to be a great listener. And because in the listening is where you'll be able to hear those nuggets of wisdom or pearls of life that we get a chance to say, wow, that was powerful what she just said, or that was powerful what he just shared with me. And so, you know, I think the world is so caught up in looking into that scale number and wanting to bring people back down. You know, like when they see someone starting to experience success, whether it's losing weight or a promotion or whatever it is, instead of celebrating that person and encouraging them to keep going further, you know, we seem to have a mentality in, at least in the United States, to want to be a crab and pull you back down. And the reality of it is we need to be helping every crab that we come across to get over that wall so they get a chance to start their next journey, and be an encourager as well. So yeah, it's
only if we've done it though. That's the critical.
Yes, we can't.
Piece. That is the critical piece.
That's the critical piece between telling someone this, which is head knowledge, versus true experience. I was having this conversation with someone the other day. I said it's the difference between knowing and then someone giving you a quiz on, well, how do you get to your house, Jim? How do you get home? Well, I make a left or right. I don't know. I can't tell you, but I know how to get here. They go, well, then you really don't know how to get there. Well, that's me trying to live up to your expectations, and for you trying to tell me that I don't know. It doesn't really matter if you know or not. It only matters if I know how to get back home. And I don't need to know the name of the streets that somebody else named in order for me to get back home. I just know the way back home. It's instinctive. I know how to get there. But when people try to make, well, you could get there, you can't tell me how to get there, that's a lie. So that's the difference between experience and then someone looking at a map and telling you, oh, you know, Carrie, how do you get home? Or Jim, how you get home is you got to make it right off of Route 17 and make a left on Corner. And, you know, it doesn't matter. That's why experience trumps knowledge.
Of course.
So,
well, and you know, here's the difference in the Hebrew mindset versus the Greco-Roman mindset. Knowledge is the word da'at, and da'at is intimate knowledge that you become one with. It's like you have completed that, so therefore you know it intimately. And so a Hebrew would never say anything unless they have done it and they have intimate knowledge of doing it. And really what that allows us to do is we have authority in our voice when we speak from that position. Because if it's lining up with the heart chakra, that's where da'at is right here, right within the heart chakra. So when somebody has experienced something and it's an intimate experiential knowledge of it, when they speak of it, their voice has authority. And there's completely a huge difference between those who have done versus those that are speaking from their mind. That I've had to wrestle with, because I know, and I've done this before. Many of us have done this before. Well, we're learn something new, but it hasn't shifted in here yet, and then we begin speaking about it right away without having authority behind our voice. I saw a video. Oh my gosh, saw a video. This was a couple years ago, but it was a recording from when I was in the Christian church. Oh my gosh, I don't know, 15, 17 years ago. And I used to do the dramatic arts within our church. So I, was directing plays and whatnot. And sometimes I would be in them, but I was directing more than I was acting in them. And it was on an Easter service. And I got up and I was trying to bring forth the play, talk about it ahead of time. And I couldn't even watch myself. I couldn't even watch myself. I had to turn the video off because there was no authority in my voice whatsoever. And so what it was telling me when I looked back, I went, I didn't even really believe here the things that I was saying. It wasn't made personal in here. So it was my ego that was speaking. It was my religious ego that was speaking. It wasn't my heart. It wasn't the soul of who I am. And I'm glad I saw that. I'm glad that I saw that, because I try to keep that in mind whenever I share on the YouTube channel, or if I'm doing a recording and I'm breaking down a video, as to who is speaking. Is it the ego or is it the heart? Because if I'm speaking from the head, I just don't want to speak anymore. It's just, I think there's too many talking heads and too little authoritative voices. We got many that speak from here, but not enough that speak from here.
Yeah, total truth. And I'm with you. There's many times that I'll read something and I'll stay on the same 2 or 3 pages for weeks, just because it's so speaking to me. Like, I'll just keep going back. I'll just keep digging that same dirt and getting more and more treasure from it. But, if I look back at my life, back in my younger years, I would want to share what I just found without experiencing it. So I totally get what you're saying. There's many times that I don't even talk about stuff that I'm actually in the process of, or in the middle of doing, or actually experiencing, for the fact that I haven't experienced it fully yet. And because I know deep down there's more for me to discover by digging that same dirt. So,
that treasure. The deeper you dig, the more treasure you're going to uncover, because really what we're doing is we're uncovering and we're revealing ourselves, our authentic selves, our self-actualized self.
So, if you're watching this program, I hope you were encouraged to dig right where you're at, and not go seek somebody else to dig for you, or tell you how to dig. You're going to have to, dig for yourself. I mean, you are a treasure within yourself. Go discover that treasure.
Right.
And let your treasure shine once you discover it. And everybody's treasure is different. So it's truly going to, people love a good treasure hunt. Well, that's what we all are on. We're all on a good treasure hunt, and you will be surprised at the treasures that are contained within you, that when you discover and you do live out, how you're going to encourage other treasure seekers and treasure finders to keep going deeper. So
we are the pearl of great price. That parable in the Bible, we are the pearl that is hidden in the field. We are. I've dug that one out, and it was a very life-changing verse for me to see that we are the pearl of great price.
Yes. So, well, I am so happy that you've shared what you shared with everybody tonight. I truly believe it's life-changing. And thank you for having the courage to be transparent and truthful. So it's
well, you're welcome. I can't live from any other place than in my now, and that's what it ends up looking like. And whether it's joy, champagne bubbles all over the place, or whether it's tears, I don't want to live behind a mask anymore, no matter what it looks like. I just don't want to live with my mask on anymore.
Well, I think what you've shared tonight, especially the relationship you and Ken have, is like the relationship that Peggy and I have. The only thing I know how to do is be truthful, and especially when you first get married, you're in the honeymoon phase.
Oh yeah.
And then you want to show the good side, and you want to see the good side, but that doesn't mean you're seeing the truthful side,
right,
from either party.
Right.
So it's really nice to have someone that you can be truthful with, even when you could be opening up a what's the same?
Pandora's box.
That's it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Pandora's box.
Yep.
Or that person may not be approving. But here's what I found out in life. Doesn't matter what the other person thinks or believes, as long as you are true to who you are, and they know that every word that comes out of your mouth, every action that you walk out is in truth. So they may not like it, but then they have, just like, I don't like everything that Peggy says, but I'm so thankful that I have a partner that keeps walking around and showing me a mirror while having pom-poms that says, you can do this, but I want you to see where you're walking right now, because this is not. So we need those encouragers, those partners, those mirrors in our lives.
Adversarial friends.
Yes.
Adversarial friends.
So, truly we walk a blessed life when we're able to understand those truths. Mm-hmm. And so when you have those, you don't take them lightly. And if you don't have it, you will find it. Just don't give up on the journey. Keep walking. That's the encouragement. Keep walking.
Keep walking.
All right. It's that time of the evening where we check in with Mr. Brian Schenker of the MeatTribe channel for those meat deals of the week. And after Easter, what do we have, Brian?
Hey, everybody. So we've got not a lot of deals this week. I hopefully they're saving up for when at least the Maryland weather turns and stays warm. But I've got a few deals. So Carnes out of Central PA, their deals run through April 25th. They are both choice grade and boneless. It's New York strip steaks. So they've got the whole New York strip cut for $7.99 per pound. And if they're prepackaged and cut down for you, those are $12.99 per pound. So a little bit higher on those. Food Lion's got one deal. They've got some T-bone steaks, choice grade, for $7.99 per pound. Aldi has an interesting deal. They've had this before, I believe. It's a choice grade brisket, but it's already seasoned. So it's either salt and pepper seasoned or Texas barbecue. And it's $5.99 per pound. And then Harris Teeter took me a while to get into Harris Teeter's website because they changed everything. It looks a little bit nicer, but they've got their and all these deals, the Food Lion, Aldi, and Harris Teeter run through the 26th. But Harris Teeter's got their Rancher grade porterhouse and T-bone steaks. The value packs are $6.99 per pound. The small packs are $7.49 per pound, and the choice grade are $7.99 per pound. And then the last deal I got for you for Brian down at Kroger's, they've got some choice grade chuck roast for $4.99 per pound.
Cool.
So not a lot out there, but there are still a few good deals out there.
Well, everybody's probably still filled up on ham, and I know we are in our house. We're still using the ham bone and what was left on the bone to make ham soup, which is unusually perfect at this time of year when it's been 32 degrees here in late April here in Virginia, Maryland. How's the temperature in Nashville, Brian?
It's been chilly. It's up in the 60s though.
Oh my gosh. I don't want to hear you.
Oh, you don't. Yeah. We got to discount that. If it drops below 60, it's chilly. No.
But they didn't.
Oh my gosh, we're at 34 right now. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we were at 32. We had to bring all the plants back in the garage on Saturday because the freeze was coming. So I mean, you don't never think you're going to do that come April 18th.
Well, we did have a frost overnight.
Okay.
Like 2 nights ago or something.
We still don't have any sympathy for you.
It's a tough crowd today.
You're like in perfect 60-degree weather. That's my favorite. So no complaints.
All right. Well, there, Mr. Shanker. Well, we appreciate you sharing the deals with us, and we'll look forward to next Friday and hopefully more deals from our favorite places. But anyway, have a great week.
Sounds good. Take care, everyone. Bye.
All right, we'll
Bye,
see
Brian.
you. Well, Brian, what's happening? Are you on the road this weekend? What's Kix or Rhino Bucket? Or you got another quiet weekend?
Yeah, another quiet weekend. And then it starts up.
Yeah, where do you guys play next? Just so people out there watching knows where to go catch you guys.
New Jersey and Winchester, Virginia.
Really? When you're in Winchester?
Next week. We're
really?
doing what is it? Friday in New Jersey, and then Saturday in Winchester. And then the week after that is M3. So
okay. Well, I think we may see you in Winchester then. I may get my brother Steve to out to a show. So may catch
one
you
of
guys
these days. I'm going to
Winchester.
have to make a trip to the East Coast.
Come
There's
on
like
out.
too many of you that are friends of mine that are on the East Coast. I feel pretty dang lonely over here on the West Coast.
Come on, get out of that West Coast bushel bastion and go over to the East Coast where the real crabs are.
I'm gonna have to make it happen, because if I do make it happen, I'll have to let people know so we can find a place where we can all meet up and give hugs and just share some face-to-face time. This technology is beautiful, but you just can't beat getting to be in each other's presence where it's like 3D instead of 2D.
yeah.
Well, it would be awesome if you could join us. I mean, we haven't scheduled our Keto Rocks retreat yet, so it'd be wonderful if you could come out and be able to actually meet the family. And
it'd be awesome.
So we'll let you know when that's going to be. Well, we know when it's going to be.
That would be great. Just drop me a line, let me know, and we'll see what we can do. Because like I said, there's some people out on the East Coast that I really want to. I mean, I want to hang out with Steve. Because I have never been able to be in that face-to-face, and our friend Dara Lane from Arkansas, and and even Dale Hoffman. And I've got others. There's more. I'm just not going to mention them all, but there's a bunch of you over there.
Yeah, we got a lot of East Coasters that need to be able to hug your neck and see you and Ken in person.
Oh, I would love that. I would love that.
Awesome. Well, Brian, what truth would you share with everybody who've made it this far along to help improve their body and to boost their immune system? What truth would you give them?
I would say eat your meat.
I would second that. Thanks for joining us
I
this
would third
evening,
that.
everybody. And then we got a third. That's great.
Yep.
We'll see everybody next Friday night, same time, same place. In the meantime, stay safe, stay well, and stay out of that hospital. We'll see you guys.
Shalom, shalom. Namaste.